What's going on, everybody? Steve here again. This time I'm in Los Angeles, California, just outside of downtown, which is right over there. I'm at the Hollenbeck Skate Plaza, and this plaza was built like over 20 years ago, so it's kind of OG. Um, but yeah, it was designed to be one of the very first like street style skate plazas built in the country. It's definitely seen better days, seen plenty of wear and tear, but if you like ledges and rails, it can be a fun park. A lot of trash around and stuff like that, as you'd expect in downtown. But yeah, this park was built by California Skate Parks, I think. And when it was open, a bunch of like pros were involved in the grand opening and stuff like that. But like I said, it's seen better days. But you'll see there's still some fun elements here. And with that said, we'll go check it out. All right, so I'm going to start by doing like a quick panorama at the top part of the park. Um, it's like right on top of a hill that goes down towards a pond area, and so I'll show you some of the other elements there in a second. But this top part is where the main section of ledges, flat bars, and some other added elements are. So you can find plenty of benches to skate and things like that. There are definitely chunks missing, and you'll want to keep an eye out for trash and things like that, broken glass, because I do think like the homeless scene kind of comes through at night and stuff like that. But anyway, we'll walk through everything so you can see it, but generally pretty symmetrical. So I'll stick to kind of one side to show you the dimensions of stuff, but anything that's unique, I'll point that out as well. So there have been some DIY additions to Hollenbeck. You can see here there's a quarter pipe that has been built up against the cinder block wall, um, and just has that as an opportunity to turn around and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, this was probably done a while ago, and is just here now. So I don't know that there's probably as many people skating this, but the top of it really just the top of the ledges, and it's pretty chunked out at this point. So probably not something that you grind too much anymore, but you got that as something other than street stuff to skate. Okay, so you've got these long flat bars on both outside edges of the plaza area. These are about 16 inches off the ground. Got about 3-inch square steel gauge metal, and they're got to be like 60, 70 feet long. So definitely an opportunity to get on, pop out, do a trick on the end, something like that if you want to. Then we've got manual pad here. This thing is only about 10 inches off the ground, probably the easiest thing to skate in the plaza. And a lot of the ledges, I should point this out, they are basically like a steel box where concrete's been poured into it. So the edges are metal, the top is cement, which actually I like. I think that's kind of the best combination, but makes it so that they both grind and slide really well. Now in this middle section, you've got a couple sets of ledges. Again, they're very symmetrical. I'll be saying that a lot. These ones are about 18 inches off the ground, uh, 14 or 16 feet long, and there's 4 of them, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 that all connect really nicely to do kind of lines. And then in the center of this, you've got this long kicker that's about 2 feet, 2.5 feet tall at the end of it. You can do ride-on grinds if you want, and this whole thing is about 8 feet long, so it's got a nice long grind to it. So it's good for setting up either to do trick off it as a kicker or do like ride-on grinds, or you could even ollie on and grind down if you want. There's a couple other angles in which ledges set up for different grinds, so you can see how the ends of some of these ledges have coping on the edges of them to hit it. So you can, skate it in multiple directions. These are only about 6 feet long, these sections. But, again, there's all kinds of different ways to kind of wrap through this park and do tricks. Now, as I kind of go more towards the outside, I said most of the park is symmetrical, but other than these manual pads, this one is a lot taller. This is about 16 inches tall, whereas the one on the other side is 10 inches tall. Um, these are both going to be about 20 feet long or so. So plenty of room to do grinds and set up for long manuals and things like that. But just wanted to point out that these are different, and thus not completely identical. Then as we get towards the, I guess this would be more the north end of the park, you can see where there's more stair sets. So, I'll point these out for you and kind of talk about them at a high level. So on the outside ends of the park, you've got these big 3 blocks. So you'll see here, this is basically set up to be a big 3, but they're about the height of a 7 stair, just longer gaps. And it's not like it's, yes, the whole setup is downhill, but these are both very flat tops, so it's not like you're rolling downhill to get up to it. So you're gonna ollie out over these, do any kind of gap tricks that you want. The only problem with this is you kind of run out of runway towards the end of it, so that's something to keep in mind. But you've got one on the west side of it as well as the east side of it where those folks are sitting. All right, so I'm going to loop back to the 7 stair here in a second, but just want to point out that this does kind of wrap around a little bit. So you got these little 2 stairs, and then you've got a 4 stair round rail. So a couple different options, and then the rail down there just goes right into the grass, so it's not really part of the park, or I wouldn't consider it that way. But this 4 stair is kind of the last thing in the park to set up for. But as I kind of come back to the 7 stair, you've got this square rail that skates like a legitimate handrail. Kind of longer stair set. So the angle of this is relatively mellow in comparison to maybe a real street spot, but still very similar. Maybe a little bit easier to get onto. So its tallest point, the handrail itself is about 2.5 feet tall. So maybe you find a real handrail that's taller, but for the most part, it's straight skates like a bigger skate park rail, nice and long. Again, down a 7 stair that's longer, so it will feel in length like a bigger handrail, but in terms of height, maybe not so much. So you got that as an opportunity to skate here as well. All right, so that does it for the skate park tour of Hollenbeck Skate Park here in downtown LA. If you're in the area and you feel like checking this out, obviously it's pretty easy to get to. Just put in Hollenbeck in your GPS. But there's also plenty of other skate parks in the area too that you might want to check out as well. So with that said, thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next skate park tour.